Hi all. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. If you are new, welcome. My name is Amira, and today I'm doing a get ready with me, but I'm doing it a little bit differently. I'm doing it and while I chit chat about something that's been on my mind, and I feel the need to talk about it, discuss, have you guys discuss it with me in the comments. It's a very important topic. It's very relevant, timely, maybe even controversial, and that is Encanto and Raya the Last Dragon. Now, originally I was just going to talk about Encanto, and I was going to gush about my love for Encanto and also to do the controversial thing of defending Abuela. I'm still going to do that. But yesterday I was watching a bunch of Encanto content on YouTube, as I do because I'm obsessed. And let me get started with my makeup. I already have done my brows and I have my sunscreen on, and I'm trying to decide which foundation I want to use. I'm thinking either my Ordinary or my Tarte. I think I'm going to go with my Ordinary because I'm going for a lighter vibe today. So let's go for that. And this thing has been like sputtering out when I spray it, so I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to put it on my hand. But yeah, I was originally just going to talk about Encanto and my feelings about it, but I recently watched Raya and the Last Dragon for the first time, and right off the bat I'm going to say something really controversial and really like, what are you talking about, sis? I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And there were things about it that right off the bat I knew that I didn't like. Like, I didn't like the dragons. I thought it was stupid that they were like pink and yellow, and kind of very like childlike, but like, and I get it. Okay, I get it. It's a Disney film, but I think the dragons could have been better drawn and just more interesting, you know? And I love anything with dragons in it. I am a dragon lover. So I was just wanting more from that. Just the aesthetics of that was bugging me. And then there were other things about it that bugged me that I couldn't quite put my finger on. Of course, I just poked myself in the eye, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what it was that was bugging me about the film. And then I watched a video, and I'll try to remember the name of the channel if I can and leave the link down below, where the person was talking about the issues that they had with Raya and the Last Dragon. And I just thought, oh my God, yes, this is exactly, you have completely encapsulated what I am feeling about this film. And of course, I forget my concealer. Hold on a moment. If I forget to tell you guys what I'm using, I'll put everything down in the description box below. But I'm using the Kosas Revealer Concealer. I don't know if you guys remember when I did my concealer declutter, I was saying, I don't know how I feel about this. I might keep it. I'm going to try it and see. I've fallen in love with this. I've really been using this more than anything else as far as complexion products go. I've been doing a very like basic look. I haven't been wearing foundation like every single day. I'll just go in with the spot conceal and under my eyes, and I've just been really enjoying it. So this is definitely a product that has grown on me, and I'm glad that I gave it a chance, you know. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So this person on this channel really encapsulated what I was feeling about Raya and the Last Dragon, and that was that there is a theme in the film, or like the lesson of the film. You know how all Disney films have kind of like a lesson, a theme of, you know, trust and not being a distrustful person. If you know the story of Raya and the Last Dragon, and if you don't, I mean, I guess I'll say spoilers here. If you don't want to know, I guess click off this video, but I am going to be talking about things that happen in the film. So I don't want to like ruin it for anyone who hasn't seen it. I'll try not to be too specific, but I may have to be specific at some point. The story of trust and being trusting and is the central theme of the film. However, the central story doesn't lend itself to that theme. I'm gonna have a sip of tea. Because the main character, Raya, is betrayed as a young girl by another young girl who she trusts, and trusts too soon, trusts too much, to the detriment of herself and her family. This girl becomes basically like her arch nemesis throughout the film. But at some point, her and the girl have to like team up, or they keep encountering each other because the other girl is basically chasing her. Keep in mind that this girl's betrayal results in the destruction of Raya's home, the loss of her father. She's basically a fugitive from the time she's a young girl, like a little girl, to the time she's a young woman. So this is a big betrayal. So at some point in the film, she decides to trust this girl again with information, despite no evidence that she should. Despite the fact that this girl has continually like betrayed her, continually lied, has been chasing her, has basically branded herself her arch enemy, and like it's been pretty straightforward about it. So she decides to trust this person, this girl. Of course, I have like a little cat hair there. And the girl winds up basically betraying her again. Not because, how do I put it? It's an accident that happens, but it's because of the fact that the girl is just not trustworthy, and Raya sort of, doesn't believe what she's saying, and at the last minute, something terrible happens, and the dragon is hurt, and this whole thing, the story tries to make it look like it's Raya's fault, when in actuality, the issue is that the girl who betrayed her never apologizes, never changes her behavior, never takes responsibility for what she's done in any way. But somehow the story it makes it to be Raya's fault, because Raya refuses to trust this person enough to help her with this goal, this thing that they're trying to accomplish. I have issues with that, that whole scenario, because I feel like it teaches kids that if someone makes a mistake or someone does something to you, that it's your responsibility to forgive them, regardless of if they alter their behavior, if they apologize. It's all on you. And I have issues with that, because I don't believe that. I believe, some people believe that like, oh, forgiveness is something for yourself and not for the other person. That's true to an extent. However, if you're talking about letting someone back into your sphere of existence, your life, and they have not atoned, they have not changed their behavior, they have not apologized, they have not had any sort of accountability for their actions. And I'm using the Merit Cheek Color in Terracotta. I am obsessed with this. I got this in PR from Merit. It's my first PR package for my channel. It's very exciting. And so I've been using this a ton, and I've been obsessed with it. It is so pretty. It's just like the perfect like flush. It's basically my version of what Hannah Louise Poston calls her old chewing gum look. This is my old chewing gum color right here. As you can see, it's very dewy. I haven't set my face yet or anything, but it's so pretty and just natural. I'm going to be setting my face, so it's not going to be this dewy, and it is tacky to the touch. So if you're interested in this, I would definitely say, set your face. But what I like is I can keep building it up, and I never feel like it looks insane, which I like. But yeah, back to what we're talking about here. So I just think it's a poor lesson to teach children, because it essentially makes you the punching bag in a lot of ways, which is what Raya kind of is. Not to mention, I mean, there's a lot of issues with that film. This is the central reason why I don't like it. I can't go as in depth as I would like without, giving things away and really getting into the bulk of the story. This is the main issue that I had with the film, is the theme of trusting with despite all evidence that you shouldn't. And then not only being proven right that you shouldn't have trusted the person, but then somehow it's still being your fault, because that's essentially what happens to Raya. She follows her instincts, and she isn't wrong, but she's made to seem like she's wrong. And that bugged me to no end. And honestly, for me with Raya and the Last Dragon, there is not a single character in that film that I genuinely liked besides the dad, Raya's dad. And if you've seen the movie, you know how long he's in it. Not very long at all. So that should kind of tell you where I'm at with that movie. Like the fact that I dislike every single character except for the dad who's in it for the first 15 minutes. Give or take. All right. But let's get to what I really want to talk about, which is Encanto. I always want to talk about Encanto. Always want to talk about Encanto. I'm just going to use... I call myself being prepared, and then I come over here with like missing half of my stuff. I'll just use this for now. Plus I need to wash my brushes, so a lot of stuff is just like really dirty and I just can't use it, so I'm like using other things. You know how it is, guys. Back to what I really want to discuss, Encanto. First off, let me just preface this. I'm obsessed with that film. I love that film. It's probably my favorite film that I've seen in a really long time. I'm obsessed with the soundtrack. I listen to the soundtrack literally, I've got hair on my nose. I feel like I have listened to the soundtrack every single day. Literally, I listen to the Encanto soundtrack every single day on my walk, my morning walk. Every single day. So, I'm just letting you know, don't be in my comments talking shit about Encanto. Don't do it. Don't do it, okay? So, this is my thing with Encanto because, again, I've been devouring Encanto content as much as I can find on YouTube. And the thing that keeps coming up that really is irking my soul is this idea that Abuela is the villain. Abuela is not the villain, my friends. There is no villain in Encanto, and that is what I love about it. Encanto does not have a villain. Encanto has a group of people who are dealing with the unchecked trauma of the elder in their family, who is Abuela. The villain in Encanto is generational trauma, and I freaking love that. I love the fact that it's telling a story that doesn't have a traditional villain, that it's telling a story where there's no bad guy. It's really just about people or a person who's really dealing with trauma, but who hasn't actually dealt with it. You know, her response to it is to try to control, which is a lot of people's response to trauma, is to try to control everything in their lives. And they make their decisions based on fear. And that's completely understandable and not uncommon and not unfounded. The thing that I loved about the film is the way that it opens is that it has Abuela telling her story to Mirabel. And the way she tells the story is very glossed over. It's very perfunctory. It's very, Disney. It's very Disney. She's sort of like, oh, this happened and it brought our family here. And look how amazing this all is. It's not until the end of the movie that she actually talks about her own trauma and how things really were for her. I'm doing a little eyeshadow today, guys. I'm not doing a ton. I will say that I did film my ColourPop 9-pan depotting video, so that is coming up. It might be up before this video. I don't know yet. But I'm sitting here with my big pan, my big little palette of colors, and it's very exciting. I'm not doing anything fun, no. I'm just doing neutrals because it's a Sunday morning and I'm just going out to have, to hang out with my mom and my brother. So I'm not doing anything like crazy. I will zoom you guys in though so you can see how, non-exciting this look is going to be. But yeah, I enjoy the fact that when you get down to it, at the end, Abuela finally tells her story, and it's the true story. She finally opens up and tells would really happen and how it really affected her. And in the, in parallel to Raya and the Last Dragon, where you have a character who is someone who's been the antagonist. I will say that Abuela's not a villain, but she is the antagonist. Whereas in Raya, there is a villain who is the antagonist. But the difference is you have two characters who were behaving badly, who one atones for their behavior and gets forgiven, and the other one never does, but somehow still magically gets forgiven. And that to me is the issue that I have with Raya, making sure with Raya and the Last Dragon. But with Abuela, she does atone for her mistakes, and she takes responsibility for them. And she's the one who initiates the conversation and initiates the apology and gives the true story. And it's probably the first time that she's ever said, her true feelings and really talked about in depth what she experienced. And I think it's fabulous to see a character of an older generation doing that. I think it's such a great example for kids, because oftentimes, with older generations, they don't talk about their feelings and they don't apologize and they don't do the work, so to speak. Now, I'm not saying that Abuela's done the work just by saying I'm sorry and, forgive me, but it's a big step to make. And what I loved is that the parallels of the issue with the magic and the house cracking is that if you watch the film, and I've seen it a million times by now, so every time there is a moment of truth, a true conversation happening between Abuela and her children or her grandchildren, is when the cracks start to show. And it's because they speak a truth to her and she blocks it. And every time she does that, the cracks show up again. And I thought that was such a great parallel for cracks in a home, a physical home, being a parallel, metaphor, or a metaphor for cracks in a family unit due to lack of communication, due to generational trauma and lack of seeking help with generational trauma. Because that's essentially what it is that everything that has happened with that family has come from that moment in Abuela's life and how she's not dealt with it. And so her responses to everything are based on that undiscussed, untreated trauma. I mean, and then when you look at her story, and this is another thing, is that when I first saw the film, I was like everybody else. I hated Abuela. I was like, she's trash. She's so mean to Mirabel. And she is. All that's true. She's horrible to her from the jump. She's horrible. There's no excuse for her behavior in that capacity. But if you look at her own story, everything she's done is coming from a place of fear. And then they show her story and they show her having that incredibly traumatic moment and then being alone. This is very orange. This is more orange than I was wanting it to be. I may have to go in with like a champagne. Yeah. This is what happens when you have singles that don't have names. I just reached in and was like, let's try this. But it's still really pretty. I might make it work. Her story of just being alone. This is a woman who lost her husband and then was alone with 3 babies and a bunch of people looking to her to have the answers. And they continue to look to her to have the answers. And so she has this idea that she needs to be perfect and the family needs to be perfect and the family needs to set an example and the family needs to earn this miracle that they've been given. And the thing about that is that's not actually a bad way of thinking about it per se. I'm just going to lean into it and put a little bit of this coppery tone here just to even it out. So much for me going like, I'm going to go light with my eyes today, guys. No, I'm just going to have full beat on. That's fine. At least in the eyes, half eye beat. But as I was saying, she's someone who feels she has to be perfect to earn the miracle that they were given. Like they have to every day prove that they deserve it. And think about the amount of like fear that comes with that kind of thinking, you know? Think about the amount of like constant need to prove that what happened, this miracle, this Encanto that you were given is, you're worthy of it, you know? And all of that fear and pressure that she experienced, she puts on her children and her grandchildren, who also then feel fear and feel pressure. Like my favorite song, Surface Pressure, that song is a bop. But every decision she's made has come from that place. And I feel like that's such a human, it just feels like such a human emotion and a human feeling, you know? And I think all of us can relate to when you do things based on fear. And you do things based on feeling like something that you have to consistently earn. You know, I think anyone can relate to that. I know I can, and it sort of rolls into that idea of imposter syndrome. But I do feel that Abuela is a good person. I mean, she has to be a good person. Think about this. This is a woman who, she could have taken that Encanto. She could have made some gates and some fences and been like, deuces, you're on your own. This is for me and mine. And she wasn't. She didn't do that. She wanted to help other people. She wanted to be worthy of it. And I think that says so much about her as a person. But I mean, a lot of people said that the amends at the end was too quick and that it needed to be more intense. I don't think so. I think we have to keep in mind that it's a Disney movie. And, I mean, even though it's dealing with really big themes, and thank you, I want to give, Disney is not always, their business practices and things aren't always the best, but I have to give them credit for creating a story that feels very of this age and feels very much like conversations that need to be had. And the fact that they didn't make it that Abuela is the villain, they could have done that. It would have been really easy. And I mean, for a while there, it felt like that's where we were going with it, but they didn't do that. And I have mad respect for that. And I think it makes it really interesting for kids to see that at such an age, the kids who, the demographic that are probably consuming this, although me with my big age consuming it consistently as well. But I have so many friends who have kids who are like, they're obsessed with this film. So I just think it's a good message to send kids, unlike Raya, which I feel is like the opposite, and it's really teaching especially young girls. And that's another thing. Let's talk about that. It's teaching young girls that they don't have to, people who treat you poorly get to get away with that. You just have to suck it up and be trusting. Just be trusting. Keep trying with them. Even if they've shown no indication of changing their behavior. I'm going to take this really dark brown that I have here and put it on my lash line because I just need a little something here. And I don't want to use a liner. But yeah, I just think that's a really dangerous message to send young girls. I think it's important to teach girls worth and to teach young girls that, if someone betrays your trust, the onus is on them to come to you if they, want to continue in your life, to show that they are worthy of that and to show that they have made changes and that they, a little fallout here, so I'm going to, and that your friendship, your, or whatever is important enough to them to do so. And I have issues with the fact that that doesn't seem to be what happens for Raya. I'm going to use this Clean Lash Mascara from, Thinning Mascara from Merit. I got these items from Merit a couple of weeks ago, and I've just been using them on my own, just trying them out. There are a few hits and there are a few misses. Well, I wouldn't say it's a miss. This mascara, I don't love this mascara. Of course, I get it. This is me putting mascara on, which is one of the reasons why I generally don't do it on the camera, because I suck at putting mascara on. But I just don't feel like it gives me a whole lot to work with. Like, and my lashes are not the best anyway, so I need a lot of help, you know. But I just feel like it's good for, like, if you are someone who just wants a super natural lash, you know, super natural, some color to your lashes, because this is the black, it's very black, then this might work for you. But if you're someone who needs a little help, like me, this is probably not going to give you what you want, you know. So I'm going to let that dry and then I'll get it off my face. But I might like it more as it ages. I don't know. Not gonna put a ton on because even though my eye look is pretty intense now, I'm still not trying to be too much, you know. My mom's gonna be like, "Oh, we're doing that today, huh?" I'd be like, "I guess so, sis. Wasn't the plan." Great. Yeah, we'll let that dry. Then what I'm gonna do for lips? I'm gonna just gloss on. I think I want to do a lip oil. I'll do this lip oil that I have. Because I do want to show you guys all this stuff. So this is the lip oil. This is the main hit for me. This and the blush have been the main hits for me. I have been loving, and I'm not a huge lip oil person. And let me zoom you guys out so you can see it now. Finish with my eyes. There you go. I'm not a huge lip oil person. I you know, usually, generally speaking, I just find them to be kind of, they don't last on the lips, you know. I feel like you put them on and then like 5 seconds later after you've like talked a bit and, you know, it's gone. This one actually lasts. It feels more like a thin gloss than an oil. This one actually lasts a fair amount of time. So that's nice. Yeah. Let's put a little highlighter on. But yeah, you guys tell me in the comments, have you seen either of those films and what are your feelings about them? Like, how do you feel about Encanto? That's really what I want to know because I'm, again, obsessed. How did you feel about it? Do you get my points about Abuela, or do you still just like are not about you know, Abuela at all? And let me just say, Abuela's not like my favorite character. My favorite character is Mirabel and Antonio. Okay. And of course, those are my favorite characters. Like, first of all, Antonio is a sweet angel child. He's probably one of the cutest animated children I have ever seen in my life. His little voice, he's so cute. The scene where he's like talking to Mirabel, like he's standing there in front of everybody and he's like reaching his hand out and he's like, "I need you." Broke me. That scene broke me, and it still breaks me. And my favorite character, like my ultimate favorite character, is Mirabel, because I just think she's such a fantastic, I think she's a fantastic role model for young girls. And I think she's just a sweet angel. But yeah, I just think that she's a sweet angel of a person who truly loves her family and wants the best for them. And that scene in the end when they give her the doorknob and, you know, they say all these things about how fabulous she is. And then she looks in the doorknob and they say, "What do you see?" And she says, "I see me, all of me." And I'm just like, that gets me, because it's a moment of like self-acceptance and understanding that, like, you know, she spends so much of the time of the film wanting a gift and not understanding that she already has a gift, that her gift. And that's another thing, is like a lot of people are like, "Oh, she didn't get a gift. You know, why doesn't she get a gift?" She does have a gift. The gift is her. The gift is who she is as a human being. And if that's not an amazing message to send to children and young girls, I don't know what is. I love the fact that she doesn't get a gift. I think that's perfect. And I think that it gives a message of, you are the gift, just being who you are. That makes you the gift. And I love the fact that essentially, the reason why she doesn't get a gift, this is my theory, and just based off of things that I've read, and this is kind of what I think Disney was going for, is the reason that she doesn't get a gift is because she's essentially the new abuela. You know, abuela was the backbone of the family. She was the one who kept everyone together. But as time has gone on and as the family cracks like the house, and under the pressure, the weight of her expectations and her need for them to be perfect, there needs to be someone else that can come in and that can hold the family together in a more evolved and positive way. And that is Mirabelle. And if you look at the way that Mirabelle, the way she interacts with the house, she's the one who interacts with the house the most. So her room is directly across from Abuela's. There's just sort of hints that Abuela's getting older. She won't be around forever, and there's going to need to be someone who is the backbone of that family, and who better than Mirabelle, who essentially single-handedly saved that entire family. That's her gift. Love it, love it. The soundtrack, like I said, I listen to it every single day. It's a bop. All of the songs are a bop. Dos Orejitas was nominated for an Oscar, which I was a bit shocked that We Don't Talk About Bruno wasn't nominated. But at the same time, I also get with the Oscars, they're going to go for the traditional sounding song. Even though Dos Orejitas is one of my favorite songs on the soundtrack, it is, of all of the songs, the most traditional sounding as far as like those sweeping Disney songs. So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I am done with my face. I am going to finish my tea. I may make a little something to eat because it's super early here. It's like, I think it's like 8 o'clock. Maybe not even. I think it's like 7:30. I got up super early on a Sunday morning so I could film for you guys. And then I'm going to eat a little something because I'm starving. I'm going to relax a little bit, and then I'm going to head out with the fam and have a, family Sunday afternoon. Let me know in the comments, guys. Have you seen either of these films? What are your thoughts on them? If you have listened to the Encanto soundtrack, which I'm sure you have, if you haven't, where have you been? Come from up under the rock, my friend. Tell me what your favorite song is, and we can argue about it in the comments. Have a good one. Bye, guys.